She slid the cup of coffee across the small cafe window with trembling hands and studied his face like she recognized something no one else could see. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "You look tired, like my husband before he left." The words hit him harder than any boardroom threat ever had, and for a second, the powerful CEO couldn't breathe. If stories about small moments that change lives touch your heart, make sure you're subscribed to Kindness Tellies. Like the video and share your thoughts in the comments, because sometimes the quietest stories are the ones we need most. Every morning at 6:10, the cafe on Maple Street opened its doors to the same smell of fresh bread and burnt caramel syrup. The place was small, wedged between a dry cleaner and a hardware store, with foggy windows and a crooked chalkboard sign that read, "Coffee and Comfort." Most people in the neighborhood called it the warmest place in town, not because of the heating, but because of the woman behind the counter. She always wore a soft gray sweater and tied her hair back with a faded blue ribbon. There was something gentle about her, the way she handed out change like it was fragile, the way she remembered everyone's order without writing it down. The regulars knew her story in pieces. Young widow. Husband gone 3 years. One little boy who waited for her in the back room doing homework after school. She didn't talk much about the past, but grief seemed to live quietly in her eyes, like a shadow that never fully disappeared. Across the city, in a building made of glass and steel, another life moved in the opposite direction. He woke up to alarms, emails, and meetings before sunrise. His penthouse overlooked the river, but he never opened the curtains. His calendar was color-coded chaos. Investors. Deadlines. Lawyers. The kind of life people dreamed about from the outside and quietly feared on the inside. He was the CEO of a fast-growing tech company, the kind you read about in business magazines. People called him brilliant. Ruthless. Tireless. But lately, he wasn't any of those things. He was just exhausted. He had dark circles under his eyes that no expensive cream could hide. He forgot meals. He forgot birthdays. Some nights he stared at the ceiling wondering why success felt so strangely empty. After his divorce 2 years ago, the apartment had become too quiet. Too big. Too cold. One rainy Tuesday, his driver took the day off sick, and his car was in the shop. The board meeting downtown was cancelled last minute, and for the first time in months, he had nowhere to be. He walked. No destination. Just walking through streets he normally sped past in tinted windows. That's how he found Maple Street. The cafe's sign caught his eye because it looked handmade, imperfect. Something about it felt human. He pushed the door open, and a small bell chimed. The place was nearly empty. An old man reading a newspaper. A college girl typing on a laptop. Soft music playing from a radio that crackled every few seconds. He ordered black coffee. No sugar. She made it quietly, stealing glances at him. His suit was too sharp for the room, his watch too expensive, his shoulders too tense. When she slid the cup across the counter, that's when she said it. "You look tired, like my husband before he left." He blinked, surprised. People usually spoke to him carefully, like he might break or fire them. No one had ever said something so direct. Before he could respond, she looked embarrassed. "Sorry. I shouldn't have said that. You look like you haven't slept in a while." He gave a weak smile. "Is it that obvious?" She nodded gently. "Some kinds of tiredness are." He sat by the window and stared into his coffee longer than he drank it. For some reason, her words wouldn't leave his mind. "Like my husband before he left." There was no accusation in her voice. Just concern. The next day, he came back. He told himself it was because the coffee was decent. But it wasn't the coffee. She remembered his order. Black, no sugar. She asked if he preferred a quieter corner. He nodded. They talked a little more. Nothing heavy. The weather. The construction down the block. Her son's science project about volcanoes. It felt strange, how easy it was to sit there. No one asking for decisions. No one needing him to fix something. Just a chair. A cup. A conversation. Days turned into a routine. He started coming every morning. He noticed how she slipped an extra muffin into a homeless man's bag without charging him. How she let a single mom pay later when her card declined. How she stayed late to help a high school kid fill out college forms at one of the tables. She wasn't rich. Not even close. But she gave like she had everything. One afternoon, he asked about her husband. She paused, wiping the counter slowly. He worked too much, she said. Double shifts. Overtime. Said he was doing it for us. One day he just collapsed at work. Heart failure. 33 years old. Her voice didn't crack. It was steady, like she had practiced surviving. He was always tired, she added softly. I used to tell him to slow down. He'd laugh and say, just a little longer. She looked up at him then, eyes kind but serious. Sometimes, a little longer is too late. That night, those words followed him home. He opened his laptop out of habit, then closed it. He stared at the city lights and wondered what would happen if he didn't answer every email. If he skipped one meeting. If the world didn't end. Weeks passed. He started staying longer at the cafe. Sometimes he helped carry boxes from the back. Once, he fixed a broken chair with tools from the hardware store next door. She teased him, saying he didn't look like someone who knew how to use a screwdriver. He surprised himself by laughing. Really laughing. One day he noticed her counting coins from a jar, brow furrowed. Everything okay? He asked. She hesitated, then admitted the espresso machine was dying. Repairs were expensive. Without it, they'd lose half their business. I'll figure it out, she said quickly, as if she didn't want pity. That night, he thought about all the things his company spent money on without blinking. Luxury retreats. Decorative art. Useless upgrades. The next morning, a delivery truck pulled up to Maple Street with a brand new commercial espresso machine. She stood frozen, staring at it. There must be a mistake, she said. He shrugged casually. Maybe someone just wanted good coffee. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't cry. She just reached across the counter and squeezed his hand. Thank you, she whispered. Not just for this. For being here. For being here. No one had ever thanked him for something so simple. Not for profits. Not for growth. Just for being present. Slowly, other things changed. He delegated more at work. Left the office before dark. Started calling his parents again. Took Sundays off. The company didn't collapse like he feared. If anything, people respected him more. He realized something strange. The cafe wasn't just saving her business. She was saving him. One snowy evening, as he watched her son drawing at a table, he felt something warm settle in his chest. Not ambition. Not stress. Belonging. He wasn't the lonely CEO anymore. He was the guy who brought extra pastries on Fridays. The one who shoveled the sidewalk before opening. The one the little boy called uncle without thinking. All because one tired morning, a widow had looked at him and cared enough to say something honest. Years later, Maple Street Cafe became known as the heart of the neighborhood. People gathered there for birthdays, fundraisers, first dates, and second chances. The espresso machine still hummed, a quiet reminder that sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest gestures. He never forgot that first sentence she said to him. It had sounded so simple. So ordinary. But it had pulled him back from a life that was slowly wearing him down. Sometimes kindness isn't grand or dramatic. Sometimes it's just noticing someone's tired eyes. Offering a warm cup. Saying, Are you okay, and meaning it. Because you never know who might be standing on the edge, waiting for someone to see them. If this story touched you, share it with someone who might need a little comfort today, and tell us in the comments about a small act of kindness that changed your life. You might be surprised how powerful one gentle sentence can be.